So I decided to build an agent system to do it for me. I set this up actually on Claude Code. So what I did was I gave Claude Code all the descriptions about exactly how I like this done. And then it helped me set up an agent system that created this for me. And what I ended up with is 3 lines of code that I run once a week to produce all of my content. So, what you're looking at here on screen is my Notion database of where I create content. I love Notion. You don't have to use it, but having some sort of database to log all your decisions and your work is really clever, right? We know that businesses are built on systems, you can't scale without systems. So, this is my newsletter system. And what happens is in code on a Sunday, I run 1 line of code that says prep my week, right? And then I walk away. Now, Claude Code actually just released scheduled events. So I can now fully automate this. But up until that point, I was just writing in that one piece of code. And what happens is it populates this Notion database with my newsletter for next week. And what it does is it just gives me a brief around, here's your personal story. What tools do you want to talk about? Are there any topics and themes you're wanting? And I've already scraped your calendar and done a roundup about where you're going to be next, what you have coming up. And then I've already kind of put in places for your community wins and testimonials. What I love about this is I still love writing, right? And especially being in AI, the space moves so fast. So I will often see things throughout the week, or there'll be news headlines that happen that I think I really want to talk about that in my newsletter. So why I have it do this brief is because I can come in here on my phone and I use talk to text all the time. I use a tool called Whisperflow, or you can just use Notion meeting notes, and I will add voice notes or screenshots throughout the week. So if we just go back to the one that I sent this last Monday, I've added a little bit of a personal story. I just did some notes around a Business in Heels event that I was speaking at for International Women's Day. And then I got lots of lovely feedback from that. So I just dumped in some screenshots from my phone around the feedback. And again, I've added notes around like, look, I'm remaking everything with agents and systems. I really kind of want to talk about that. I also want to link people to a wait list that I've just opened up. And then I've added any extra notes around the events that I'm wanting to talk about. If I leave anything blank, the agent knows to go and fill it out by itself, but it also takes into account my personal notes. So I do this during the week whenever I have thoughts that I come across, whenever I see things online, whenever, I'm sure like lots of people, you save a bunch of Instagram posts or you take screenshots on your phone, you think, I'm definitely going to do something with that content. You never do. So this is my dumping ground for all of that. Then on a Thursday, because I don't work Fridays, we'll talk about that. But on a Thursday, I then go back to Claude Code and I just say generate the week. And what happens is my agents come into this brief and they already understand my brand voice, my content type, who I'm speaking to, how I like my newsletters written, all of that. And they take all of my notes, plus they do their own research on the latest AI news headlines. They also know to go and look at my testimonial database that I have in Notion for current and, contemporary reviews from students. They also know where exactly I look for updates on AI tools. And what happens is they take all this content and they produce not only this week's newsletter fully written out, but they also recreate it into 2 blogs for my website that are around the key and most controversial opinionated topics that I raised in the newsletter. And then they also create all of my social media content. So that is my story scripts, my reel scripts, and also my captions. And my favorite part, because I love sharing carousels, is that it also creates, because I built with Claude Code my own tool that en masse creates on brand carousels for me. So then it also creates folders with all the carousels for that week. And for example, if I click in here, it then has every single one of my slides waiting for me in my brand colors with my brand, with my tag. So AI Her Way. It has the title slides. It also has all of my content slides. And it always ends with a call to action. And then if I want, I can even ask it to make some lead magnets that connect to my content. So then on a Thursday afternoon, I literally have all of my content ready to go and I don't have to do anything else outside of that. I obviously have things that I also talk about, but this system has meant that we used to have staff that did this as they finished up their contracts. I just reassessed the situation. I thought we can automate all of this process because essentially when we train a human to do it, we're giving them these documents, we're giving them examples of what we like, we're giving them templates. Instead, I just gave all of that same information to an agent in the form of Claude Code and built out this system to do the same thing. So content used to take me a whole day a week to put together, even with leveraging AI, because I'd be constantly kind of tweaking things and refining things. Then we used to have people that worked up to 15 hours a week just on content and making sure that we're talking about the right thing at the right time. Now it's, what, maybe 20 minutes of finessing anything and just pushing my newsletter over to my platform. I'm now looking at building my agents to automatically be able to even push the content over to be automatically scheduled inside of my platforms. But because I'm all about quality control, up until this point, I've been really wanting to make sure the system does exactly what I want it to do instead of just acting all by itself. But now that I've been testing the system for about a month, again, it's adding around 1,000 people to our newsletter. We get 40% open rates. We get 7% click-through rates, which is really high for newsletters. So I now trust this system enough that I'm now exploring making it completely automated so that I'm not touching this stuff except for adding my original thought to the process.
Wow. This is so cool. Like, I literally love this. If you want to watch the entire episode, click here. And if you want to watch more episodes like this, click here.